The regime here has been promising prosperity for all, but in fact what it has been creating is poverty for all, for many, and prosperity for just a few people. And we're saying there should be prosperity for the citizens of this country. We're looking at a democratic Uganda, but above all we're looking at an empowered citizenry. And I think that's what the president has been talking about, where our people become the bosses. And we implore you, our leaders, to make sure that the people who elected you will become true bosses, and you will be their servant. We want a country which ensures dignity. One time I went with our president and I think Comrade Joy and other leaders to Mulago, where citizens go when they get accidents and all that, to the casualty ward. You see the indignity there. You see the kind of problems. People having to sleep on the floor. And that is if they are lucky to find space. Some of them are just outside there. And any citizen can get an accident anytime, and then they take you to a casualty ward. And then you find these people, one foot on top of the other, they are all bleeding, brought in these cars commonly known as kabangari. So one to try and have dignity for the citizens of this country and finally equal opportunities. What then is our mission? Our vision, I've talked about it. Our mission is to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power and build a free, united, prosperous, and democratic Uganda. Every day as a leader of NUP, ask yourself, what have I done to advance this mission? Because this is our mission. Our vision is where we want to go. Our mission is how do we want to go there. Every day we want to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power. Article 1 of the Constitution of our country says that all power belongs to the people of Uganda. And we are saying that all the people of Uganda must be empowered. Every day must be rallied. We do not believe in doing things for the people, but we believe in helping the people realize their full potential and being able to reach where they want to reach. So we want to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power and build that country which we all so much desire. I will not talk about the values, Comrade Joe will talk about them, but I want to talk about the core governance issues. What is the character of NUP as a political party? And I'm very glad the President talked about the fact that while we are having a political party, we still have a movement. And the political party, in fact, is under the movement. The movement is people power. This people power idea brings together all Ugandans who feel oppressed, who feel neglected, who feel disempowered, who want to take this country forward. So people power is that whole idea which we stand on. But NUP as a political party, first of all, it is a social democratic party. The social democratic party, you can later on check and see what that means. But NUP is a social democratic party which is guided by the principles, 7 principles. 1, servant leadership, equality, transparency, accountability, freedom, liberty, and social justice.
Secretary, you are taking us too fast, yet we are taking notes.
Okay. I'll just say that NUP is a social democratic party. There are different kinds of parties, and that's why I said if we had enough time we'll go through all those, maybe we'll have a chance to talk about them. But we're a social democratic party guided by the principles of servant leadership, which I already talked about. Servant leadership. I want to be servant leaders. And maybe at this point I'll tell you, comrades, that for me, what attracted me so much to, many of you know my background, previously NRM, then I come meet this gentleman who was an artist, very famous. I met him in my class. I walked into the class, boom, and I saw him seated there. And I said good evening, and then he was saying, good evening, sir. This is a celebrity of, with a very big name and all that. And the next month, I realized that he's a very humble person, but above all, a servant leader. One time, I went with him. He invited me to Usawara. We went to Usawara, and then we went to Sowe. It's an island there where you meet people who we call the wretched of the earth. People who are in very, I don't know how many of you have been to that island, called Sowe Island. Really, people living in abject poverty. It's very, very terrible conditions. And here he was, we went by the board, and then I could see the connection that he had with these people, and for me, that was enough to tell me that I was in the right place. So can we all be servant? Servant leadership is one of those core principles: equality, transparency, accountability, freedom, liberty, and social justice. Social justice goes with so many things, and today, this afternoon, we're going to have a presentation about the socio-economic problem of Uganda and how it can be resolved. So we believe so much in social justice. There is another important point here. I will, maybe for the first time, with your permission, President and other comrades, Deputy Presidents, to say that when we were setting out to have a political party, there were very many political parties which were actually clamoring. So why don't you come and become members of this party and take it forward? But the reason why we selected NUP is simply because we believe firmly in the unity of Uganda as a nation state. And so that's another thing. NUP believes in the unity of Uganda as a nation state and shall oppose any attempts to divide the country along tribal, religious, or regional lines. That's one of our core principles and values. There are other political parties with very beautiful names, and I can even talk about them. But the most important, the reason why we thought NUP was our home is because we believe in national unity. And that is why the regime has been so desperate to portray us as a regional party, as what, and sometimes they've gone as far as saying, you people, the Ngongayas of this world and others, kill our vibe. Because when we want to club those people and say they are of a certain place, then we see some of you there. What are you doing with them? But that is because they know the importance of unity. We believe in the unity of Uganda as a nation state. The other thing is that NUP is a progressive party which shall pursue international cooperation with progressive nations and organizations along economic, social, and political lines. So we believe in progressive ideas and a progressive agenda. Now, what I can summarize as what we call our manifesto, but I'll just call them. Here we say that the NUP shall seek the mandate of the people of Uganda to govern the country and work for the following core governance issues. If we were in power today, what would we prioritize? The first thing is national unity and reconciliation. Most important, national unity, to make sure that there is national unity. The second one is sovereignty of the people. We want the people of Uganda to be sovereign, not on paper. In the constitution it says that all power belongs to the people, but you all know that in this country, power does not belong to the people at all. We want to live in a country where people feel powerful, and we've gone, many of you have traveled to some countries where the citizens actually feel that they have the power, that the citizens can force a prime minister to resign overnight, that the people can decide what happens. But here in this country, those who rule over us have all the power, and once the guns come out, the citizens are silenced. We want to change that trajectory. The other issue is guarding Uganda's national independence. That is very important. We believe that Uganda fought independence, but we are not fully independent. We say that one of the core issues is guarding Uganda's national independence. The fourth one is building a dynamic, mixed economy with a strong social conscience. Now, dynamic, mixed economy, you all know what that means. But I will best focus on strong social conscience. That our economy, or the economy that we build, must have a strong social conscience. Not an economy which works for a few against the many, not an economy which looks at the political class as against the citizens, the ordinary citizens, but we must ensure that there is a strong social conscience in our economy. The other issue, of course, is respect for human rights, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. NUP in power would ensure that there is respect for human rights, that there is constitutionalism, and that there is the rule of law. Comrades, there are two. I used to be a constitutional law lecturer. Hopefully I'll go back to that at some point. But there is a difference between a constitution and constitutionalism. And Professor Joe Loka, one of those who talk in constitutional law, famously said that you can have a constitution without constitutionalism. In Uganda, we have a constitution, but we have no constitutionalism. The constitution is a mere piece of document which is swept away at the whims and wishes of those in power. But what we want is that document as just a mere document that we can breathe life into. And that is what I talk about constitutionalism. That there must be respect, adherence to the rule of law, and adherence to the constitution. That's what builds a nation. To make sure that what is written in that constitution guides us and governs us. Those of us here who are religious, the first book should be that religious book you have, whether the Bible or the Holy Quran. But then the second one should be the constitution of our nation. Make sure that we go by it, we abide by it. And the constitution is not just swept away whenever we think it is inconvenient. And that is what the dictatorship in this country has been doing. That whenever the constitution becomes an impediment to them, they just sweep it away. If you look at that constitution about the role of the military, about the role of the police, and how they should be behaving, we have chapter 4 of the constitution. I hope all members of parliament have gotten copies of the constitution. I would encourage all of you to read that constitution, even other leaders, local government leaders. Please get the constitution and read it, because it offers you a beginning point. But we have a whole chapter about human rights and civil liberties. For example, in this country, none of us here can organize a peaceful demonstration. Even when Article 29 of our Constitution clearly says that there shall be the right to peacefully demonstrate and protest peacefully and unarmed. But that has been reduced to nothing. So we want to make sure that there is respect for human rights, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. Those of you who have studied some bit of human rights studies know that there is civil and political rights and social and economic rights. And we are committed to both. The other issue that we are committed to is gender equality. Gender equality is extremely important, and I want to really, at this point, appreciate the women in the House and thank them for doing incredible things. Unfortunately, the leader of women in the wing is not here, Honorable Flavia Karude. She's been not feeling very well, but she's with us in spirit. And but I thank the women who have continued to light the fire. Yesterday, the women who went out there and protested amid these very difficult situations. Thank you very, 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 very much. The other issue is zero tolerance for corrupt practices. Zero tolerance. Ssenyonyi and his regime have been talking about zero tolerance for corruption, but every time they talk about it, they only do it even more. I even wonder how they sleep at night, because they talk about water and drink wine, or vice versa. But we want to try and be committed to zero tolerance for corrupt practices. And how I wish that NUP leaders will not be found involved in those kinds of practices, because we want to bring about a new chapter for our country, fighting corruption and making sure that we aim not just in word but in practice. The other issue, as I'm about to conclude, okay, I'm being told that you have set up for Juma prayers, the Muslims can pass behind. Thank you. The other issue is lean and efficient public administration. Lean and efficient public administration. We want to make sure that we have a lean but efficient public administration. The government that we have currently is the exact opposite of this. It is not lean, it's too huge, and it is inefficient. You have RDCs, you have different organizations, different organs of state, and there is a duplication of roles. For example, if someone has violated my rights today, I can go to the Equal Opportunities Commission, I can go to the Human Rights Commission, I can go to the courts of law, I can go to, if it's rights related to labor, I can go to the labor court, the industrial court, I can go to, there are so many institutions, but they are not efficient. So, if a citizen of Uganda today, your rights are violated, go to the Human Rights Commission, We went there one time after Arua, and the chairman, may so rest in peace, really took us through the trouble he has, or the trouble he had, and his inability, the inability of the Human Rights Commission to do its function, because it is being controlled by those with guns. But in any country, the Uganda Human Rights Commission should be a the Human Rights Commission of any country should be an extremely important institution. So we are saying that we should have a lean but efficient public administration. You go to a district and you find there's an RBC in charge of security, there's a DISO, and there's all sorts of other areas. You have the chairperson of the CFI, you have then the cow, you have the cow, then you have the DPC. Then you go down, then you find that you have a RISO, then a PISO, a FISO, all those kinds of things. And then when it comes to election, then they say, no, these are not enough. They bring LDUs, then they bring crime preventers, they bring Chigogo squad, and all these are feeding off the public purse. So we are saying there should be lean but efficient public administration. The other issue is strengthening of state institutions. I think this goes without saying that in Uganda our institutions are not strengthened, they are not independent. Many of them want to wait to hear what has come from the State House before they take decisions, but institutions must be strengthened and enabled to do their work. The other one is respect for cultural diversity, that we must respect our culture, but we make sure that we are united in our diversity. Equal access to quality public services, especially healthcare and education, that goes without saying, that we must have equal access to quality. There are very important issues. One is equal access, the other one is quality services, especially healthcare and education. We believe as NUP that if you have a healthy population, you have a productive population. If you have an educated population, you have a productive population. What kind of education do we get in our schools? What kind of education do the students get at university or even in other institutions? And I think it is deliberate. I always tell people when I was in senior 3, and many of us here, I'm sure many of you did political education at some point. Or civic education even in primary school until they were abolished, because we are able to make our young people start thinking and questioning and able to understand the history of their country and where it should go. So that is a problem. Of course, the other one is eradication of poverty. The other one is economic, political, and social cooperation with other nations and organizations. That's international relations, security for all persons and their property, and finally, equitable distribution of national resources, which I believe the presentation later on will talk about. The party will endeavor, this is very important, to instill in its members a strong sense of patriotism as a foundation for achieving the above core governance issues. Comrades, NRM of course has been singing about patriotism, but it's only in word, not in action. Suddenly they don't love their country. Here we are wearing the faces of our comrades who are in prison for no reason whatsoever, for no crime whatsoever. And these people have the guts, the audacity to talk about patriotism. Of course, as time permits, later on we'll discuss other issues. Some of these issues are captured in our party constitution, others are captured in our other documents. As you know, this constitution is under review, and later on we will be asking the thoughts and other things like those. Thank you so much, moderator. And now we invite Comrade Joel to speak to us about the values. People power, our power, people power.
Thank you, Comrade Lewis. We're going to take a break in 10 minutes, I believe. But let's stand and sing a song. I saw some people meditate. The goodness of the Lord. This is the time, the time, the time. This is the time to say goodbye. This is the time, the time, the time. This is the time to say please take your seats. Don't take them away. I mean, just to find It's good to see all of us here. You know, we've been having meetings. We meet as leaders and discuss in a hurry. 1 hour, and then everybody's off to do something. And so it was important that we retreat, take off time, far away from town, because if you had met somewhere near town, many of you would be dashing in and out, running for programs and so on. So we say, let us take you out of Kampala so that we can be and concentrate. And that's why we had wanted to all come in the same mode of transport. Many of you have come with your car, so it becomes easy to run away. But we believe that we are here to be able to connect. I'm going to very briefly, in about 7 minutes at the most, take us through our core values. When we sought to set out, we believed that certain things were important for us at the beginning and as we keep going along the way. And so core values are important for any organization, any entity, even for us as individuals. I'm sure each of you, there is core values that you hold dear to your life. You might not have written them down and put them in your house. Some of you have, some of you haven't. But for each of you, there's things that are important. That for me, I cannot do this, or I must be able to do this kind of thing. And so as NUP, there are values that are very important for us. And they must begin with us, the leaders. And then there will be a trickle-down effect to the people that we lead. Because if we don't espouse these core values, it's going to be difficult for you to tell Kabaya, for you to tell Kidawits. These sound like botanical names. These are people. That's NUP for you. It's going to be difficult for the quote-unquote ordinary person to pick up on these values. And so we summarized our core values in something called DRIFS. D-R-I-I-F-S. D-R-I-I-F-S. Now each of those letters stands for something. D stands for discipline, R, reliability, the first I, inclusiveness, the second I, integrity, F, fidelity, S, service. I'm going to run through them from our perspective, but you can broaden it. You're all leaders, you're all competent in many respects, you're all wise. Many of you are older than some of us, but no worries. So discipline. Something that I've learned over the years is that as a leader, you cannot give what you don't have. That's a fact. So as leaders, we expect people to be disciplined. And that's important. But you see, we cannot expect people to be disciplined if we are not disciplined. And the kind of discipline we are talking about is both public discipline and private discipline. Some of us are good at the public discipline. Those have been telling you about himself. He will go there, grandiose, talk about corruption and so on, and behind the scenes, him and his people are speculating with billions of Uganda taxpayers' money. So the discipline we're talking about is both public and private. And some of it will embody, seemingly little things, but which are very important. I have been in the media, or was, for 14 years. And many times, we could see the indiscipline of leaders. Sometimes it's seemingly small things, but which eventually bring down a leader. You find a leader in a drunken stupor. There's an MP who was, we got in those circumstances, and he tried to cover up the story, but it was difficult. We said, even us as the media, we want good leaders. We are not going to cover up for this one. The fellow got drunk, was always being picked up in bars. At one point, he urinated, I think, on an officer. Discipline. Now, I know, yes, at a retreat like this, you would expect that now we should be discussing strategy and all these different things. But you see, if tomorrow one of the tabloids is writing about you and somebody is picked up in bars, it doesn't matter how much English you speak. It doesn't matter whether you say Ssenyonyi again. The people are thinking, no, you cannot be our leader. And so we think this is important. Both public discipline for us as leaders and privately. Now, me, I'm a young man. Many of you are even fit to be my fathers. I'm seeing some. And so maybe it should be you telling me some of these things. But it is okay in my small capacity. Maybe I'm able to. You see, private leadership for a leader is what, in my view, eventually results into what we see publicly. Because there are things that you cannot hide. As an individual and as a leader. So if there are some habits that, and we all have our habits, but now you're going to become a leader, the habits must die. Because they are going to blow up at some point. That's for sure, whether you like it or not. Because you see, many of us have been behind the scenes. Well, for me as a TV, so maybe some of you knew even before here. And so some of you have come in the limelight because you're a leader. And so the small little things are going to come out. Because now you're in the limelight. And then you're not going to shame only yourself, but all of us. Because now I'll be getting phone calls from these media people. Now Ssenyonyi, so there is this MP of yours that we called doing ABCD. What is your comment? These media people can be annoying. I know because I was like them. And so you engulf all of us. And so it's important that we have discipline, both publicly and privately. Look, we're not saying we are going to become angels. No. But interestingly, people have a certain expectation of us. And the sad reality, those people, the ordinary people, the people that we represent, they will do some of those silly things. And they don't expect you, their leader, to do them. That's just a sad reality about leadership. They will steal, they will be all over the place, get drunk and so on. But if a drunkard tomorrow here, if their MP was found drunk on the road, you're like, you come about that, yeah. This is a drunkard saying that. And that's a sad reality because we have chosen to become leaders. So people have certain expectations of us. We must not let them down. R, reliability. One of the things that bothers me about Mr. Museveni and his leadership is that we cannot rely on them as leaders. We cannot bank on them. Today they will say A, and tomorrow say B, and so on and so forth. We must be reliable. That image must come out through us leaders. And then they will say, hey, these NUP people, we can rely on them. We can bank on them. People are saying they can rely on you, that's why they voted for you. We cannot let them down. That's very important. People have been let down by leaders, time and again. And so for us, we're saying we must be different. As one of our core values, we must be reliable. People must be able to say, "Ah, work our fair, mayor of fair, chairperson of fair, whatever the case might be." They must see that. And so that's our second core value, reliability. The third core value, inclusiveness. I know, and we have talked about these things. The state will try and drive a certain narrative. That NUP is only for a particular group of people who are from a particular region in the country. It is our duty to debunk that as leaders. Deliberately, we must be deliberate about that, And so everybody must feel welcome. As long as they're saying, I want change, I want to espouse what you espouse, let's bring them on board, regardless of their tribe. That's something the state is trying to use a great deal. And so we must be able to cover that, I'm wearing a t-shirt of a gentleman whom many of you know as Bobby Young. You might think Bobby Young is a guy who was born, bred, and battered in the camp of Chapa, Uganda. Bobby Young is actually a young boy. Some of you did. Now you do. From Kamwenge. So there are people who say Kamwenge, they say Kamwenge. But there you are. Bobby Young is actually from Kamwenge. What's his real name? Is it Agaba?
Agaba Anthony.
And when you see him there, you would not imagine maybe he is. But he is, and you can say that for several other people. And so we must, very consciously, by the way, as leaders, realize that we should bring everybody on board. I don't know what is being distributed. Is it money? Is it what? It's food. Oh, that's also very important. We want to, by the way, appreciate our brothers and sisters in the Muslim community that are in Swahili. I'm hoping this is not inconvenience. I don't even know why I'm giving these things out now. Because some of us are in Swahili, we are disorganized for us. So anyway, inclusiveness. We must be able to bring everybody on board. Yeah? Regardless of tribe, regardless of religion. I'm glad there's Muslims here, there's locally like me, there's Catholics, there's Protestants. Regardless, we must all feel like we are part of this thing. The women should never feel like, this thing here is only for the men. That's very important. And women, you should never feel sorry for yourselves. Or try to think, let me wait for some space to be given to me. Take charge. I was so delighted when I saw the women yesterday. I said, hey! This is amazing. And we must keep going. And so, my fellow men, we must let the women to the because some of us, traditionally, culturally, you saw how your father used to treat your mother. She was always the other side, not talking among the men and so on. Times have changed. I saw on the door of one of my professors when I was finishing my second degree, and it said something very interesting. Humankind is like a two-winged bird. One wing represents the men, one wing, the other wing represents the women. Now, for that bird to fly, both wings must be developed, must be empowered. If only one wing is empowered, that bird cannot fly. That's just the way we are. So as NUP, we must know that if it is only the men that will have the space and the women are kicked out, we are not going to fly, whether we like it or not. Our country actually has majority women, 51%. So inclusiveness, everybody must feel included. Integrity is the other eye. I will not elaborate so much on that. It is as clear as it is. We must be leaders of integrity. We cannot fight Museveni for not having integrity, and then we'll be like him in our small ways. Because it is possible for us to be that you're there, you're heading a district, you have resources that you're supposed to steward over. But you know that you're not stewarding over those resources properly. Or you're a mayor, or whatever the case might be. We just must be leaders with integrity. We are not perfect, but people expect us to do the right thing. The F, which is fidelity. Fidelity is another word for faithfulness. How many married people are in this place? Let's see, by show of hands. I know you may not necessarily be happily married, but you're married. Okay, we have seen the married people. And for those who are not married, inclusiveness. We include you also. So we are all. By the way, some of you, bring up I don't know where I'm going to be done, right? But tear gas, what? And as soon as we were returning home, because he was going to Mandela, and he told me now you said it. So now we are here, battered, what? Me, I'm going back home to my wife, Mappy. She's going to massage me and take good care of me. So for you, when you go home, those cockroaches of yours. I said now it's my there. But thank God now I can also talk. So fidelity, faithfulness. We must be faithful to the people that we are leading. You know, the same way spouses, the husband expects the wife to be faithful and the wife expects the husband to be faithful because there is a covenant. And so we have a covenant with the people who voted for us. Yes, it's a covenant. They voted for us. As NUP, they have entrusted us right from our president because these are the people. These ones, we can count on them. And so, we must not let them down. we must be faithful every step of the way. And the people can tell. You know, the same way you can suspect that my spouse, you know, he's over me with the people can actually tell. You can pretend around, go on talk shows, blast Museveni and so on, but if there are holes somewhere, if there are lacunas somewhere, the people can tell. Because they are the ones that voted for you, you are their leader, you are theirs, and so they know when their person has moved up, has dropped the ball. We must be faithful to the people. Museveni has been unfaithful to us for 35 years, and that's why we're disgruntled. We are in a very disturbing relationship with this man and this government. By force, he will beat us up, jail us, kill our people, steal our money, together with his Lord. And that's why we're saying, no, we want to break away from this relationship. We want to have a new catch. And people are saying, no, our new catch is a NUP. And so, we must not let the people down. You people, again, we are coming from Gulu, when the Honorable Chairman had been released. And that time I was actually seen at NTV, but operating behind the scenes. So I would very quietly do our people power thing, then I ran back. And when we got to Raga, we had a discussion. I don't know if you remember that discussion. Because they had sedated him and so on. I asked him, Honorable, did you see what I saw? He said I was asleep much of the time, but did you see what I saw? I asked you. And he said, what? I saw people, I stepped out. People lined up from Gulu to Kampala throughout that entire road. I don't know who was with us in that moment. We had like 50 cars or something. There were people all through. And they delayed us in Gulu. They wanted us to leave late, so that we entered Kampala late. And we entered Kampala at about 10 p.m. People waited. I told this gentleman that, do you see how people love you? If you let down these people, they will love you. They will hate you times two. I'm sorry, I'm telling them our personal conversations. But I'm telling you too, because people love you. Some of you, babies being born in your constituency are being named after you. It is true. Because they love you. They see you as their savior. If you let those people down, they will hate you. They will hate you. You will not be able to eat food anywhere. You will not stay at a function. They will loathe you. We should be aware of that. But that can only happen once we are faithful to the people. I mean, once we are faithful to the people, that's when they will hate us. But once we are faithful and remain on ground one, we'll keep connecting with the people. Finally, the question of service. You know, we want Museveni to go. And people are excited. They are voting for us. They have yet to see what we are able to deliver. They expect that we actually deliver. They expect that we get to connect with them and deliver services using the platforms that we have. Because it's not enough to say Museveni again. That's important, step one. But you see, as an MP, are you actually delivering? As a district chairperson, because you're the president of that district, are you delivering services? Because you see, we must use these positions as platforms for the ultimate change. And we must show people that we have got what it takes to lead you, to lead this country. That we have got what it takes to fix things. How? By using the platforms that we have now. And so it's important that you establish what is the role of an MP if you are an MP. Some of us don't know. I hope we get to learn. If you're a district chairperson, if you're a councillor, interacting with councillors the other day, and many of them actually do not know the responsibilities. And I told them it is okay. But 1 month from today, if you don't know, it is not okay. So go and learn, establish, and deliver services to the people. That's important. Because you see, and you've had some voices say, hello, but NUP, we should not ashamed this gentleman because he is banking on us. If we go far, and as we, because you see, the struggle continues, yeah? And ultimately, we must see leadership change in this country. It has not happened yet. Now some people are excited. NUP, you have many MPs. There's a time media was on my case. Ssenyonyi, now you guys have MPs, you're going to, have the leader of opposition, I don't know these different things. And they said, look, the struggle is certainly not over because we didn't enter this to become the opposition leaders. We didn't enter this to be somewhere there. We entered to take over, and until then, we keep striving for that. And so the positions that we are going to occupy now, we are to use ultimately as a platform for that. That's why people trust us. That's why our leader trusted us. And he will talk more about these things. He has told us, and he keeps saying, but what it means, let's deliver. Because if you don't deliver, you will not be telling people anything. He told people, man, even sang a song. Umbrella, what was the song? A chairman also sang the song, umbrella. And so whenever he went, he said, and the truth is, and I hate to say this with the media here, but it's okay. Truth is, some of us were probably voted, not because people knew us, people were voting for the umbrella. And for me, that's okay, that's a good thing. People are saying we have hope in the umbrella. Meaning, whoever the umbrella brings, that's the person of substance. You might not be a celebrity, you might not be known, but people are saying whoever is with the symbol of the umbrella, that one is the one with Mulamwa. And so they voted for us because of the umbrella. We should not let down this umbrella. God bless you.
Can we applaud both Joel and Lewis? I'm told it's lunchtime. Can I request the President, please allow the Muslims to go out to go for prayers. We are going to have the Deputy President Northern Region speak to us, but we permit. Was it on? I can now hear it on. Okay. Dr. Zerriga is going to speak to us online, and she's already excited to see me here. But with your permission, the Muslims will walk out because Kutuba Sunday. Shall have a prayer for 7 minutes and then proceed. Thank you.
Now, Vice will come and take over from me.
Well, Deputy President Lina wants to just say hello to you and greet you, but unfortunately, many of you cannot see her. But she's right now on the call, you can see. And she's, yeah. Please proceed and say hello to the comrades. Okay, thank you very much. Comrade Viceroy. That was our Deputy President who wanted to say hello to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.